is truly my honor to introduce to you our next 14th District Assemblyman, Brian Curran.
Let me first start off with saying how relieved I am that I, Rosemary, and my parents aren't the only people sitting in this big hall tonight. Midweek, my good friend and resident bettor and handicapper, Joseph McCarthy, had the high for this fundraiser at 10 and the low at 3. So far, Joe, we beat it. So you can all imagine how appreciative I am. But I want to tell all of you, thank you for coming here tonight. I'm not sure if you will ever truly know how much it means to me that you're here, but I do promise you that I will do everything in my power to convey to you, both in words and in deeds, my appreciation, not just tonight, but over the years. Now, before I get started, there are just a few more people that I would specifically like to point out. First off, two ladies that have been doing all the work on my campaign and are responsible for tonight's fundraiser. That is Leslie Rothschild and Ann Conway. Personally thank all the Republican leaders and my coordinators, Doug Diana and Rich Regina from Baldwin, Mike Scarlato and Wayne Virtue from Oceanside, Dean Skelos and Chris Brown from Rockville Center, Jim Dolto and Larry Fodor from Malvern, John DeGrace and Ali Insnalali from Valley Stream. Thank you very much. There are two more leaders that I would like to specifically point out because they are two individuals that have supported me and backed me from the beginning and have been fantastic to me and to my family. First and foremost, Senior Town Councilman Tony Santino. Tony. And of course, Francis Becker. I point out my two good friends, Paul Collins and Alan Beach, who serve as my East Rockaway and Lynbrook campaign coordinators. And I also want to thank Mike Corker for being our campaign president. And lastly, I would like to thank my family, my parents, brothers and sisters, who, for better or for worse, I am. And of course, the love of my life, Rosemary, wherever she is. Now, you know, it was about 4 years ago, as Alan said, that when I, along with two really good friends, Billy Hendrick and our next United States Congressman, Francis Becker, when we got together because we didn't like the way that our village here in Lynbrook was headed. We didn't like how high the taxes were. We didn't like how Lynbrook was being viewed as a circus by people who watched the board meetings. We didn't like the fact that the majority of the board seemed more focused on destroying one another politically than they were focused on moving our village forward. And it was because of those feelings, and after we were lucky enough to talk to Alan Beach, who, I will say, is an outstanding public servant. And by the way, Alan, you were not the third choice, you were the second choice. After we talked him into joining, the four of us set out to put this village on a new path. And while going down this path, we were fortunate enough to be joined by two other really good people, and that's Mike Hawkhurst and Hillary Becker. This 4-year path actually saw a village budget that was passed that included a tax decrease for every home and for every business. It was a path that would include increasing senior and veteran tax exemptions. And most of all, it was a path that restored the respectability of this village's government, not only in the eyes of the people that lived here, but in those who even didn't live here. And as we reach the end of this 4-year path, it's hard not to be proud of the things that we've been able to accomplish, but even just as importantly, it's the way that we've been able to accomplish them. We have, in the past year, achieved the village's best financial bond rating in its history. We have The village was also announced as the 27th national finalist for the All-American City Award, the only New York State municipality to receive such a recognition. Now, these accomplishments are good, but as I said, it's been the way that we've been able to accomplish these achievements, and that's simply by spending less of the residents' money and by reducing the size of village government. It's been a good 4 years here in Lynbrook. Now, about 3 months ago, I was presented with an opportunity that changed the direction and the path that I thought I was going to take. Now, this opportunity was both unexpected and at the same time quite bittersweet. That opportunity was to run as the Republican nominee for Assemblyman for the 14th Assembly District. Now, I say it was unexpected because for the 4 years that I was mayor, I had the distinct pleasure and good fortune of being both an elected official and a resident of an Assembly District that was represented by Robert Barra. Bob served the 14th AD for 10 years with dedication, commitment, and successes beyond anybody's expectations. You cannot go more than 5 blocks anywhere in the 14th Assembly District and not see a park, a street, or a project that wasn't partially or fully funded because of Bob's efforts. Bob, I will tell you without any reservation that you will be deeply and sadly missed by the people of the 14th Assembly District. And good luck in your future. Now, as I said, this opportunity was also bittersweet for me personally because I will tell you, I love the job of being mayor of Lynbrook, the town that I was born and raised in. It is the only village where I want my kids to be raised. And to give up a position that means everything to me was a very tough decision. After Rosemary gave her okay, and after 4 great guys, and I do mean great, and that's the partners at Nicolini Paradise, Freddie and Isabella, who have seen fit, unknowingly why, to employ me for the past 10 years. After they gave me their blessing to pursue this, I still was not convinced. And it wasn't until I received this letter, and if you allow me to read it to you. Dear Mayor Curran, we have heard a rumor that you are considering running for the New York State Assembly. We cannot plead to you enough to accept this challenge. We understand by accepting and winning this position, you will be required to step down as mayor. But Albany needs you. New York State needs you. We believe so strongly that this is the right move for you that we have started going to church every day, saying a daily prayer, and that you will be headed to Albany. Thank you for taking the time to read this letter. Sincerely, James Tisdale and Dave Penzer. There is a PS. If you have to step down earlier than Election Day, we are 100% behind you. And I can tell you, those two definitely want me out of limbo. Let's get serious. After taking a look at this job, I realized that Albany, and by extension our state, it's broke in more ways than one. Like Lynbrook was when we took office 4 years ago, Albany has been a circus under the direction of Democratic control. And even worse, the Democratic leadership has led this once great state on a pathway to short bankruptcy and insolvency. Last year, New York State faced a $1.7 billion deficit. What was the Democrats' solution? It was to pass a budget that contained a 9% increase in spending. This year, that deficit ballooned to $9.2 billion. Again, what was the Democrats' solution? It was to pass a budget that contained a 7.5% increase in spending. Because of the Democrats' actions in the past 2 years, New York State is looking at a budget deficit of $17 billion next year and $18.5 billion the year after. You see, if the Democrats remain in control of Albany, it is a question of not whether New York will go bankrupt. It's a question of rather when. And what has been the result of these Democratic fiscal policies? Well, to begin with, the average tax burden on a family of 4 here in New York State is $26,000. That is the highest in this country. Last year alone, New York State lost over 180,000 private sector jobs. When you combine those two facts, you get approximately 2 million people who have left this state since 2000 because of the poor business atmosphere and the high taxes. That 2 million number of relocated residents is the highest among any state in the same time period. Now, there's a saying that has been used to describe today's Albany, and that is that the elected officials are so busy keeping their job that they've forgotten to do their job. There is one person, however, that hasn't forgotten to do his job, and that's State Senator Dean Skelos. For the past 2 years, Senator Skelos has been the voice that has called for what the people of New York want: less spending and smaller government. It is a simple formula. Under this formula, the state will reduce its crushing debt and red ink. The state can get back to offering tax cuts to its seniors, residents, and more importantly, its businesses. The state can again become the center of the business world, retaining and attracting new businesses, all the while creating new jobs. This state can once again begin to offer the same dream of a better life to its residents as it previously had to millions of immigrants as they entered into New York Harbor yearning for a new life. This state can again be great. Under Republican leadership, New York can live up to its monogram as the Empire State. It can once again be the state that leads this great nation. But it starts here, and it starts today, and it must continue all the way through November 2nd. It needs you and your family to tell your neighbors and your friends that the time has come to get active. The time has come to insist on fiscal accountability up in Albany. The time has come to demand an end to the political circus that has run our state into ruin. The time has come, ladies and gentlemen, for us to take back our state. And with your help, and with your passion, this time will come on November 2nd, with the Republicans once again leading this state into the future and back to greatness. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I cannot wait to see you in Albany. Thank you, everybody.